This is a regular board meeting of Tatum ISD. It is now 5:30 PM on October 4th, 2021, and we have a quorum. Ms. McElwain, will you lead us in the pledge, and Ms. Shannon, communication?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we want to say thank you for allowing us to come tonight and represent our district. We pray that everything that we do be honorable and pleasing in your sight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Christine, do we have a vote? I need a motion to approve the consent items as presented, minutes of the regular board meeting of September 13th, 2021, bilingual ESL program evaluation and board goals update October 2021, district strategic plan and goals for 2021-22 and 2021-22 campus improvement plans.
Mr. President, I so move.
Ms. McElwain's made a motion.
I second.
Yes, I need a second. All those in favor? Motion carries. Do we have any reports?
First item we have is our A+ employee recognition, and Mr. Fite's going to lead that off.
I'm not sure, but many of you recall, or we had to play the game in Pittsburgh this year. Before we left, we had a lot of issues on how we're going to get the volleyball team in certain places, investment, half a day maybe. Trying to figure out a driver who was going to be able to take the kids, and we had certain people, but then it didn't work out. And Beth, she was on the Lone Ranger and driving the kids to Waston for that varsity volleyball game. And lo and behold, we're on our way to Pittsburgh, and our van bus breaks down. And our Lone Ranger pulled double duty, drove to Waston, went to Gilmer, and picked up and got all that arranged. So that's going to bug me on. And after it happened, I knew right then who that person was going to be for the first 6 weeks of recognizing a district employee. And, this is one of many she's done over the years, but taking the time out in this board meeting to recognize from work that sometimes goes unnoticed. But in this case, I want to make sure that she gets recognized to being an A+ employee. Because truly, over the years, she's done a great job, and she continues to doing a great job. However, we want to take this time out to recognize her this month to being, in the first 6 weeks of being the A+ employee for Tatum ISD. And for that, she gets a duffel bag and boarded with a great eagle. Because over the years, she's been a great eagle.
Yes. Well, it takes a lot of everybody, teamwork. I mean, it's not just me, it's everybody else too. So it's your drivers, your mechanic, we all pitched in and done what we need to do.
You're a big part of it.
But I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
We appreciate everything you do.
Well, thank y'all so much.
All right,
Thank
appreciate
y'all
you coming up
for
here.
finishing the mood. Thank y'all.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next item we have is our district goals. We have 1 and 3 to present tonight. Mr. Fite's going to lead that off.
Tatum ISD community places the highest priority on safety and security of students and staff, as far as goal 1. And Tatum ISD will develop leaders who have the integrity, compassion, and vision to inspire positive contributions and to impact our society. So, tell us about it, Mr. Fite.
Starting off in goal 1, of course, is addressing safety. And we know how important safety is when it comes to not only our students and faculty, but it goes all the way to our community members. And we want to make sure that our priority is safety for our kids. And reflecting back on last year, because sometimes it's get confusing on what we're doing this year. But this is a reflection on last year on what took place in the district and how we're addressing safety and reporting on that. So if you look on those things, this is kind of where we are as a district based upon last year and what we're doing. District-wide radios on each campus to make sure that we can communicate when cases, events, they use them definitely for buses in the afternoon, being kids are not getting on the right buses and things that happen on the buses. Going through mandated training, the drug testing of all our athletes. Of course, criminal backgrounds on anybody coming in and out of the district, or the contracted employees that we have, and making sure that we take care of those. Of course, last year, addressing the issue that we did have an SRO, but those, what they're responsible for is limited when it comes to addressing behavior. They're limited to doing certain things. Having surveillance cameras, of course, we've tried to upgrade those throughout the years because over a period of time they've gone. We've got cameras now where they have multiple cameras on lenses on one camera, where it's so much beneficial to be able to zoom in, zoom out, and have a better view. And of course, the regular updating of crisis manuals and things that we run into when it comes to safety and overall emergency operation plans. One of the most important things I would say last year when it came to safety, as Dr. Richardson can attest to, that he and I spent a lot of time on the phone with a young lady at Dish who we spoke quite frequently with, getting advice. And I will say she bragged on us quite a bit as being a district that was truly trying to do the right thing as far as when it comes to addressing the district with COVID issues and making sure we're making the right decisions and we're staying up and staying abreast on what the changes were. So making sure as we follow and going into this year that we continue that process.
Let me interject real quick. On that district-wide radio, kind of piggyback on that, one thing we did purchase is, I don't know what you call it, burner phones, but we bought some phones because, as you know, when our phone system goes down, it's tied to the internet. And so it's always about the time when the buses are getting ready to run. And so every campus has a phone now that we can get to them. So when they call that main number, it'll be on the cell phone and all that. So
I would have been doing that, but that was a great point.
did last year. Okay. Sorry. This is City Thunder for next year, but go ahead, sir.
1.2, of course, the 3-year safety audit. This year was not a year for it to have it, but in for as abiding by the law, we are required to have that, and we did fulfill that when it was necessary. Making sure that on the drills recommendation, one of the things we talked about in our leadership meeting, even this year and last year, was the not knowing how many times have you read about a school having fires at this point. You don't really agree. But they still recommended having fire drills. Everybody remembers school when you had a fire drill all the time. Right now it's more of we need to practice, and we have agreed as an administrative team that we need to practice more lockdown. Things of that nature. They are more prone to happen as opposed to a fire burning building down nowadays. So having those things and keeping up and keeping those things. Having a required safety and security team for the district. And then also our trainings that are online that address all the mandate as far as specific training when it comes to bullying, when it comes to harassment. Chapter 37, there's a lot of things that go on, and there's a lot of training that teachers have to go through, and also other members of the district, but teachers more so than everyone else of the different trainings that they have to go through, but making sure that they take place. And then goal 3, when it talks about positive contributions and having those individuals that they can be impactful in our society, and looking at the data here, if you look where we were and where we're going, we met standard for the 2021. Things were a lot different last year. Kids behaved a lot different because number one, that missed out on a whole semester really. Behavior and discipline was down, and that's great. So when you look at all the numbers, pretty much went down in certain areas, or they pretty much stayed the same. But as a whole, when you look at the criteria, we met that criteria in all those areas when it comes to addressing the discipline on those campuses. And of course, the year before, we didn't get to finish because the spring numbers didn't show an actual count or a factual count because of COVID that particular year. You see it cut off through March. But even in a whole year, last year, we were at 560. And you can see it in previous years on where we were, the big difference. So the focus last year was to get through and we made it. And thank God we'll get through this year also. Of course, required, we're talking about bullying. This month actually is October, is bullying prevention, and the campuses will be doing certain things and activities. Every campus, not just the lower level campus, but all campus will be doing things to address bullying, because not only does it happen at the lower level, it happens at the secondary level also. So making sure that activities are planned to address those students, and having parents aware of the things and the resources that they have in place to help assist along during the school year if they have any issues. The next data goes with our co-curricular. When you're talking about the groups that we want kids to be a part of, last year, of course, was a different year, once again, because there are certain groups and things that didn't participate because there were limitations on what we could do and what we couldn't do. But even in that, leadership groups, when you're talking about going out and increasing, of course, we all want to be able to find more groups that kids can be a part of. The more they're part of, they're less apt to be in trouble. So finding groups, and it stayed the same, so that standard didn't reach. Community service, of course, going out, that wasn't the time to be going out. So yeah, it did go down. And when you're talking about leadership group, again, at TMS, it pretty much stayed the same, but once again, the goal and objective is to increase and to make sure we can find more groups and student participation and being involved. As you can see, some kids stayed at home last year. That's another reason why we don't have the numbers that we have, because some of the kids that were participating in years past, they didn't attend school for a certain period of time. So the numbers were down. So we're making sure that we continue to stress to the principals and on those campuses to continue to push and encourage that participation, making sure that we move forward. And looking at the football, volleyball, and those sports when it comes to middle school participation, you can see we met the goal in all areas except girls track and field. Oh, no, yes, that's girls. Female track and field, we didn't meet that because of the number, but everything else, that was an issue year before. We want to make sure that we continue to, number one, at that age, keep kids engaged, keep them involved as they grow up and continue, maybe they'll stick with it. And as you can see here, football there didn't meet that standard, but everything else did. So we're on the right track with winning. And of course, when they have winning in them as a mentality, it truly helps as they move up, having a taste of victory in their mouth. Here is an area we need to work at. And of course, last year was a COVID year, but that's not an excuse. We want to continue to make sure our numbers go up. We want to continue to make sure that we are competitive in an area when we do go off, that we can compete and make sure that we make the best of it. I think the program is going in the right direction. It's just a matter of, number one, continue to recruit. We've gotten rid of some issues possibly that were possibly hindering the program, but overall, we're headed in the right direction. I think we have a young lady who is on top of it and does a great job of the students respecting her and making sure that things go in the right direction. And as you can see, the numbers there, when you're talking about where we were and as far as twirlers and those things, and certain ones like at the middle school that even to be participate because of COVID, they were not allowed. Of course, those would be an NA. And then when you're looking at particular numbers as far as participation, whether they had a team or not, it was only one area. Of course, we hadn't had the issue with girls basketball. for the freshman level. Most girls, when they get to high school, they branch out and do a little bit more. When you got dance, you got cheerleading, those are the big popular things to be a part of. And some are doing both. Some choose to still do one. And of course, knowing we are a small school, and it would be beneficial for us all to be able to be on the same page and be able to share, but some students don't see it that way and they still want to really participate in one and choose, but we could benefit from it. But that's the only area where you're talking about students who possibly might have participated in middle school, and then once they get to high school, they branch off into the dance and so forth. So that is an area where we want to continue, and that hadn't been has been a problem for some time now. Last year, we didn't meet the standard there because we only had right at 50 students participate, and 80 is a full team, but we ended up getting second place, as you can see down at the next one, to EF. However, anything greater than third or fourth, we met that particular standard. So in that area of academics and competition, we've done well with the academic side of it. We want to continue to encourage our principals to get those sponsors and really recruit those kids to make a difference in the academic side, because we have great students that are smart and athletic, and bringing them all, making sure they all come in and participate. That's the goal.
This year, we're not having TMS or TSUI, so it'll be another year that they won't have it.
Any particular reason?
COVID.
Are other schools being able to do it?
I don't know about other
Henderson's
districts.
doing
Huh?
it. Henderson's doing it.
Our district that we're in
Mhm.
voted, this was decided back in August when the numbers were
Yeah,
higher than normal. And and there's some schools that don't do it all together. We found out when we were going through that process.
And two, it depends on what year. Sometimes it's in December, it's early. So right now, it's the end of October. We can have short notice to go into it also. If you want to sit down and have a meeting and change it, it's kind of tough.
Want to get these scholarships for sure.
Well, it's middle school and elementary.
Or you said high school?
No, middle school.
Oh, okay.
High school will be
Okay.
participating, but middle school and elementary.
In high school, of course, it goes into the Lone Star. They would compete to be able to
Yeah.
have to have the high school portion of the academic side. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
Okay.
On the COVID update, we went all last week, 0 cases. And no cases today.
cool. Wow.
So we do have our processes in place with our new COVID nurse, and she's housed over at the elementary, or the old elementary. And so I think she's getting some training on hearing and vision to help out with the campus nurses. So if there's some downtime, and right now we do have some downtime and everything. Next item is to approve the modified state schedule for testing. We did this last year. This allows us an opportunity at the secondary level to be able to administer tests, and the kids that are not testing on that particular day, they can stay home and still be counted present.
Do I have a motion to approve the modified schedule state assessment testing days waiver as presented? I'm sorry.
I said, I don't agree with that.
You need a motion. Oh, that's what I said. Do I have a motion? Mr. Adams made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Skinner, second. All those in favor?
Next item is consider and approve nominees for Panola County Appraisal District Board of Directors. You see the list of names there. The board can choose 1, 5. For tonight, we will get our magic number of how many votes to cast at a later date. So-
Mr. President, I move we cast all our votes for Keith Williams.
Anybody else? Did I give it?
I'll second it. Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just, ready.
You're just recommending him,
Okay, we recommend.
Keith Williams, because we don't have the number of votes. We'll do that later.
It says all our votes, so that, you know.
Well, we don't even know what our number is yet.
I know we don't, but he says all our votes, so
Okay.
you can fill in the blank.
Yes.
Can we get a motion second?
No, this is gonna be Russell.
Yes, you'll need a motion.
Who made the motion? Mr. Smith made the motion.
I move the motion.
Okay. Who's second?
I do.
And all those in favor? Motion passed.
But I do have an action item. I do have, one item coming out of executive session is the appraisal instrument for me to approve. That's the only action item. We have no personnel resignations, nor do we have any, recommendations for personnel.
I guess we don't need to go to executive or?
I don't have,
I'll look at it.
Okay. Mr. Smith?
I really think that, we should go over the recommendations or whatever, or maybe even approve it as different.
The instrument?
Whatever.
the instrument?
Yes, the instrument.
Okay. Go exec.
Okay, the board now convene in a closed meeting to discuss the following items posted on our agenda this evening as allowed by the Texas Government Code 551074 to discuss the superintendent's evaluation instrument and the employment and resignation of professional personnel. The voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of the discussion in closed session will take place after the board reconvenes in the open meeting. It is now 5:53 p.m.